Hello and welcome to Joy News Prime live from our studios here in Accra. We're also available in London and across Europe on ABN Sky Channel 235. My name is Stephen Enti, and top story this hour: National Peace Council begins consultations with various interest groups as it seeks to formulate a policy on religious freedom. And the West African Examinations Council is blaming officers and invigilators for the increasing spate of examination malpractices. And Chief Justice Georgina Wood today leads a team of judges to watch a fascinating Joy News documentary titled Locked and Forgotten as she begins works on a policy to make judges work overtime to clear remand cases. All these and more coming up shortly. Now the details. Now the National Peace Council has started consultations with various interest groups across the country as it seeks to formulate a policy on religious freedom. This follows a petition to the council from the Muslim caucus in Parliament over concerns that Muslim students were being forced to participate in Christian activities in missionary schools. Chairman of the Peace Council, Most Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante, spoke exclusively to Joy News' reporter Joseph Opoku Gakpo.
I assure the Ghanaian public not to enter into panicky situations as if the nation is engulfed in what is happening in other countries. We have had problems, here and there, but I think the situation is on hand, and I don't think that we have any cause to be worried about it. And we would want to continue to assure the public that the capacity is there to address the issue on hand. The security people are on top of the issue, and we believe that through dialogue and mediation we'll be able to find a lasting solution that will facilitate justice and peace in the matter. I cannot preempt it now, but it is the discussion, the dialogue, and the decisions that will be taken that will show us where we're going. But I think that it will be something that will be good, that will facilitate peace and justice in the matter that we are dealing with.
So, Prof, will this be a binding communication to all parties to respect it by all means?
There is no such a thing as a binding communication anywhere. We can appeal to the conscience, we can speak to the public, and once something has become a policy based on the constitution of this country, we would expect that as democratic citizens, people who believe in the rule of law, we will abide by what we will all agree. The dialogue will enable us to at least advise the authorities that be in respect of what we need to do to operationalize Article 21(1)(c), which is the issue in contention.
So whatever the outcome of the dialogue may be, may become necessary that maybe you seek a legal backing for it from Parliament or anything like that?
The National Peace Council will definitely submit its report to the authorities that be, and I believe that the outcome will form the basis of a legislation that will facilitate the enforcement of Article 21(1)(c).
Okay. Just the final point, there have been concerns also that the Supreme Court has started hearing the case.
Yeah.
A private citizen has filed a suit. Yes. How does that conflict with the work that you're doing?
It doesn't conflict with the work that we are doing. That's why I said that without prejudice to the outcome of it, our role, the Supreme Court can pronounce that something is right or wrong, but when it comes to mediation, it is the role of the Peace Council to ensure that whatever decision that is taken by the Supreme Court, we live in peace. We live and let others live. And that's precisely what we are trying to do. So it is without prejudice to what the peace, to what the Supreme Court will do.
Meanwhile, a representative of the National Chief Imam, who is also a member of the Peace Council, has called for calm while the council continues its engagements to bring closure to the matter.
The eminent Chief Imam, Sheikh Usman Charbutu, used to say that all prophets and messengers sent by the Almighty Allah sang the same song. That is the unity of Allah. So we Ghanaians were born and bred as one people. This issue has nothing to do with fighting or demonstration or whatever. The Muslim caucus in Parliament reported this to us, and we sat down, began the very day, 3 days after. I saw our Muslim brothers in the Western region coming out to demonstrate. I saw it on TV. So we have started the process. Now we want everybody to stay calm. We are one. We are one. We are not divided. Nobody is fighting anybody. And now we are going to include all the stakeholders to be able to come out with a national, one single decision that will cover all. We have the Ghana Education Service as an institution covering all the various institutions in the country. You see, what do they have for us? We have any policy covering our educational system? Today, these people will say we have to make it 3 years. Another people will come and say 4 years. Are they talking of even the morning devotion, or what are they after? A lot have gone on, but no serious intervention or discussion has been done until this issue came to us.
So for you, by the end of this dialogue, what expectation do you have?
Inshallah, we are coming to come out with a strong power, a decision that will cover all. That is going to be the end. We are going to end it all. Because Ghana, we are one. We are not divided. We are not divided. We are one. Nobody is fighting anybody.
And there is an uneasy calm in the township of Bong near Tema, a day after violent demonstrations by residents left 27 people injured. Joy News' Latif Idris visited the area today and reports life has largely returned to normal, but there is still a lot of anxiety among the people.
Tuesday's demonstration saw the whole Pong Township painted red, with both young and old joining the protest against what they termed unfair treatment from their elders. The demonstration, which started peaceful, ended violently with the police using tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse the crowd that pelted them with stones. The situation was different Wednesday morning when Joy News visited. The town seemed calm with people going about their daily activities. The residents, however, insist that their demands must be met.
Asogli is supposed to give us certain things, not free electricity. We are paying, we've been paying since time immemorial, so we can pay. We want MOU signed. It is not about free light. We need certain things. We need hospital. This what we have here is not standard. We need hospital, we need community library, we need good roads, scholarship fund, we need SHS, post office. We need a lot of things in our community. It's not about free this thing. That one is minor.
With the people threatening to attack their Sogli plants, the police are maintaining an armed presence at the facility. ASP Julian Obing of the Police PR Directorate says the police will continue to keep an eye on the situation.
Presence of the police would continue to be here for as long as we find necessary, until we think that security here at home cannot be tampered with.
Okay. So we don't have any timeline as to 3-4 days?
No, we do not. We'll continue to have our presence here. We'll continue to have the standby teams. We'll continue to have our patrols. And we'll continue to have our men stationed at the traditional council, the Asogli plant, and then the township as well, to make sure that the calm we are maintaining, or the calm we have this morning, is maintained until we are certain that security here at home cannot be tampered with.
Most of the protesters who were injured in the protest have been treated and discharged from the Pong Hospital. Others have been transferred to the Tema General Hospital.
In total, we had about 27 casualties brought in or reported at the Pong Health Center, and they've been treated and sent home. We had to refer to the Temajena Hospital. Among those who reported at the Pong Health Center, we had a 14-year-old being the youngest and a 65-year-old person being the oldest.
Before the news team left the township, some furious youth who said they were unhappy about the presence of police patrol in the area charged and hooted at the police, who did not react but just drove off. Latif Idris, Joy News, boom.
And here in Accra, my name is Stephen Enti. Now, the Chief Justice of Ghana, Georgina Wood, today led a team of judges to watch the fascinating Joy News documentary titled Locked and Forgotten, as she laid the basis for the implementation of policy directives that will see judges work overtime to clear remand cases. We'll have more on that, but I have with me in the studio Seth Kwame Boateng, who wrote and produced that story. Seth, how are you?
I'm fine.
You're not a big guy now. You know, you're going places.
I'm trying to be like you.
Oh, come on now. Tell me, the Chief Justice insists. Why did she insist that the judges watch the documentary?
Well, so she told them that she wanted them to have a feel to understand the plight of these people. She wanted them to also see the conditions in there, how the remand prisoners were surviving, or were the experiences. She wanted them to have a feel. So she sat with them, and for about 2 hours, we were with the Chief Justice and the 40 judges watching this documentary and asking questions.
Have a feel. Is it to suggest that judges don't know what pertains in our prisons?
They have been told about some of the conditions in there,
they really have
but
no
exactly, they didn't know about some of the issues we raised in this documentary. For example, they hadn't entered the cells to look at the conditions there, how they sleep, even the food they eat.
Situation.
So you know what is happening? Coming Saturday, she's dispatching these 40 judges from the Greater Accra region. 20 will be in Nsawam, 20 will be in Akuse. She wants them to stay there for a while, understand the conditions there, the plight of the people, enter their cells, so that when they are sentencing, they will consider all these things before they sentence them.
It was incredible. I mean, as you, the reporter, you wrote and produced that story. As you sat through these judges watching your documentary, what was going on in your mind?
I was hoping and praying that she comes up with some directives that will ensure that very soon.
I'm sure you were also not enthused about the fact that there appeared to be a total disconnect between those who sentence people to jail and the actual conditions.
I was a bit surprised listening to some of them, those who sat behind me, the comments they were making. They were surprised, Stephen. I wasn't sure. So the Chief Justice has also issued some directives. For example, starting next month, they are starting this Justice for All program. And in fact, next week, they will start from Akuse. They will start from Koforidua, then move to Akuse.
Is there any special reason why they're starting from Koforidua or Akuse?
She tells me again it's because of the documentary. So they will go nationwide. They will start visiting the various prisons. So next month, the whole of April and May, she has directed her judges that they should move to the various prisons and look at the remand cases. And she has also directed that they call something discharge warrants. In the past, police officers were supposed to pick these warrants, take to prisons, and get inmates who have been freed to go home. But she believes they have not been doing too well. So she has put together a committee. Henceforth, the police will not handle this. Officers from the Judicial Service, Justice Department, will move to the prisons themselves and hand over these warrants, so that people who have been freed and are still languishing in jail will have the opportunity to go home.
So what is the feedback you're getting on this documentary since it started airing?
a lot of people have called, a lot of people are willing to go in and help, and the inmates. I've had a number of calls from lawyers willing to travel, some to Sunyani, some to Tamale, to defend some of these remand prisoners.
And you're happy about that?
Oh, yes, I'm happy about
Seth
it.
Kwamboateng, we're grateful for your time
Thank
on
you.
Journey's Prime. So Seth is our award-winning journalist who did this documentary. He wrote and produced a documentary, Locked and Forgotten, which obviously is yielding results. You heard there that the Chief Justice led a team of 40 judges to watch this documentary. Subsequently, they're going to take action on that. Now, to some other stories, the West Africa Examinations Council is blaming police officers and teachers who supervise its basic and secondary certificate examinations for the increasing spate of examination malpractices. Over 24,000 cases of malfeasance were recorded between 2009 and 2014. Bono Ahafo holds the record as the region with the highest number of exam malpractices, with over 4,000 cases, while Upper West has the least cases. Head of International Exams at WAEC, Ni Christian Johnson, is asking the police administration and the Ghana Education Service to punish and shame officials who condone examination cheating.
One of the cleanest institutions in the country now, one of the transparent. What we do is we monitor ourselves, closely. So you would scarcely find a official involving himself in more practice. Rather, what happens is that the agents that we engage, like the vigilators and the supervisors who are supposed to work on our behalf, they, most often betray the trust that we place in them.
Now, the head of national office at WAEC, Ningmai Olenu, says the council's hands are clean in the leakage of exam questions.
Bite. When you say let the law bite, what exactly do you mean? What do you want to see the law doing?
I want you to see it positively punishing those who get involved, and probably naming and shaming them. That's done to the candidates.
When you say positively punishing, who should take that responsibility?
The policeman comes to the exam center because he's sent to come down there by the police service. There's very little exams council can do. So what we'll do is I will report the policeman who gets involved into this problem to these employers, and we expect that they should be punished and made public that this is what has happened to the person. Similarly, the teacher or the supervisor also comes from the education service, so we report them to them, and probably anybody from WAEC to when he comes out, he's punished, and we should make public, let people know.
So what are you asking from the police administration in this respect?
Punish everybody who gets involved with examination malpractice, just as we punish anybody who break their laws there.
Now, President John Mahama says he is determined to maintain fiscal discipline and would resist the temptation to overspend. He was speaking at a meeting with the Ghanaian community in Botswana, where he's on an official visit. The president also told the gathering that he's unfazed by demonstrations from people who are making all sorts of demands on his administration.
Often what has happened is in election years, trade unions and everybody sees that government is in a vulnerable place. And so that's when demonstrations and things, agitations for increased pay and all that begin to happen. And because of the sensitivity of the period and probably the fear of losing elections, government, normally would give in to some of these pressures. And before you see, the budget is out of sync. And then when elections are over and government is installed, you have to start the belt tightening all over again. The advantage going for me is I've seen more demonstrations and strikes in my first 2 years. I don't think it can get worse in the second 2 years. And it is said that when you've killed a goat and you frighten it with a knife, it doesn't fear the knife because it's dead already. So I have the dead goat syndrome going forward. And so we're going to ensure that we maintain fiscal discipline.
Well, I hope you don't have the dead goat syndrome. The Ghana's ambassador to Namibia, who is also in charge of diplomatic relations in Botswana, Haruna Atta, was unhappy about insulting placards used against the president during demonstrations.
Said it not because the president is here, But he's probably the only president in our life who has suffered more demonstrations than any other president. Every day someone decides on some demonstration and says, we are taking to the streets. And they take to the streets, and they are allowed to take to the streets, and this president never says anything against anybody. He is building our democracy through tolerance, not through force. You remember when I came for my credentials, I met some of you in Mr. Kumi's house. And just as I was talking, there was a news item about a demonstration in Ghana. And you saw the insulting placards. And I remember some of you said, oh, Nadine, where is it from? You were shocked. I could tell you were shocked. That is an element that I wish to appeal to you, to appeal to our brothers back home. You can disagree, but you don't have to be offensive. You don't have to be insulting. Just because you are enjoying freedom, do you have to throw dirt on the freedom?
And still to come in the news, chairman of the Civic Forum Initiative is tasking civil society organizations and the media to thoroughly scrutinize the operations of the Electoral Commission to ensure it delivers on its mandate. Welcome back to the news. Now, Member of Parliament for Efutu Alexander Afenyo Marking is accusing government of failing to promote the rule of law. Mr. Marking cited the decision by the Electoral Commission's attempt to stage district-level elections without the necessary legal backing as evidence of this. The MP was speaking on the floor of Parliament at the start of the House's debate on the President's State of the Nation's address.
This government has not done sufficiently in promoting the rule of law in this country. This government must take a cue from the recent decisions of the Supreme Court, ensure transparency in governance, and ensure that this House is able to scrutinize and see everything that it does. The wheels of justice, we are told, grind slowly, but they definitely get to its destination. Mr. President had praised the Electoral Commission. Not soon thereafter. We all know the mess. The media is quoting, I don't know. The media is quoting over 300 million, and that they are asking for 90 more million. We say we have no money. SADA released certain monies, and to date, there are confirmed projects. It's a fiasco. That the tree planting was never properly done. That the tractors that were supposed to be imported have still not come. These companies were ordered to refund. Mr. Speaker, every morning we pray, and I quote you, a country of plenty where evil and poverty shall be done away with. Is the president doing away with poverty?
He said, well. The minority spokesperson on finance, Dr. Anthony Akotose, also accused the president of neglecting the macroeconomic sector.
So, Speaker, I've tried to read very carefully this year's speech to see where, if any, the president spoke about the so-called economic fundamentals. In only a few instances did the president attempt to feebly, talk about the macroeconomic state of the nation. 7. The president again attempts to make mention of the economic fundamentals by stating, with your permission, I quote, notwithstanding the recent macroeconomic challenges, investor confidence in Ghana continues to grow as a result of measures introduced to stabilize the economy, end quote. So, Speaker, you see, even in this instance, His Excellency is shying away seriously from giving any numbers.
Communications Minister Dr. Omani Boama, however, disagreed with Dr. Akotose.
His Excellency the President spoke
on several occasions about the macroeconomic fundamentals, contrary to what Honorable Takuto said, wanted us to believe. He spoke on several occasions, about the macroeconomic fundamentals. That was how come in this State of the Nation address, he argued strongly in it that for us to secure our medium-term prospects, we needed to open negotiations with the International Monetary Fund. Honorable Minister, you have 3 more minutes to go. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you are generous. Mr. Speaker, for anyone to allude that a discussion with the IMF or a program with the IMF meant how our economy is in tatters, one cannot appreciate this, because this is not the first time that our country has opened discussions with the IMF.
Well, to other stories, Chairman of the Civic Forum Initiative, Major General Ni Kao Coleman, retired, has asked civil society organizations and the media to thoroughly scrutinize the operations of the Electoral Commission to ensure that the EC is operationally effective, professional and impartial in the delivery of its core mandate. According to him, the 317 million Ghana cedis the Electoral Commission has wasted on the botched district level elections could have been used to help solve the country's energy crisis. Major Coleman is urging the EC to work expeditiously with Parliament to enact an appropriate constitutional instrument to govern the next district level elections.
How Parliament is going to handle any new CI which is brought before it, because they are going to rise very soon. And you know that they require 21 working days. That is about 6 weeks of sitting, if they are sitting 4 days in a week. Okay, you will need a lot of time. So they are going on recess pretty soon. When do they come back? When is the CI, the new CI, tabled? And when will be the gestation period? We have to work through that and come out with a date. But we should not, what we are saying is that we should not delay it too long, unduly. If we can work these things on paper and have an agreement also with Parliament that, okay, working with this timetable, even if it means recalling them to come for a certain number of days to sit through, then we can easily say that, okay, this is the date that we should hold the elections.
And to avert a constitutional crisis whereby from Saturday, March 14, the legitimacy of incumbent assembly members could be put to question, Major Coleman is proposing that the executive and Parliament in the national interest consider extending the tenure of existing assemblies.
I don't think this is the first time we've come to that, to this crisis. We've had this situation before, before we came into constitutional rule. Okay, in 1992, if you recall, we were supposed to have the local government elections and the presidential and parliamentary elections. But the government did, because they didn't want the two at the same time, extended the life of the local government assemblies by 2 years. Of course, they were not a democratically elected at that time, the government. But then they had the powers and the law behind them to do that. They extended it by 2 years. Okay? That's why you now have 2 years intervals between elections. But we don't want, we should learn from our mistakes. We don't want to be faced with another constitutional crisis. So the right thing must be done. And I think before Parliament rises next week, this thing can be resolved under a certificate of urgency.
Meanwhile, Major Coleman is proposing a September deadline for the conduct of the district level elections. And the managing director of Go TV Ghana Cecil Sunkwa Mills says migration onto a digital platform will relatively increase the internet connectivity in the country and make internet speeds faster than what pertains now. The digital migration process will start in June this year and will see all free-to-air channels migrated onto a set-top box. Mr. Sunkwa Mills also says the process will not only increase the number of TV stations in Ghana, but would define the scope of operation as well.
We have to go digital because, you see, currently, I'll make it very simple. We have 21 TV stations that are licensed. So it means that each of these TV stations uses one frequency. So it means the NCA has given out 21 frequencies, which is a lot of frequencies. Now, frequencies sit in a bandwidth and they can get finished. Okay, the comparative example is if you tune your FM station now, you see that as you tune your FM station, it's almost full. So it tells you that frequency can get finished. Now, it's the same thing is happening to TV. So the ITU, which manages frequencies worldwide, has asked that there's a technology which will help us save frequency and use it more efficiently. So now with DTT, what happens is that one frequency can accommodate, depending, sometimes up to 24 channels. So it means that all our TV stations, which are sitting on 21 frequencies, can all be put into one frequency.
And the Deputy Minister of Communications says migrating onto the digital platform will reduce transmission. Ato Sapon says consolidating the channels will go a long way to save the broadcasters some amount of money that can be channeled into other parts of their businesses. It was speaking on the Super Morning Show on Joy FM.
Okay. For the broadcasters, it makes it, a typical broadcaster has probably 10 to 15 transmitters spread across the country.
Yes.
These transmitters will have to be managed. You have to provide generators, you have to make sure there's access to the place, security men, people to manage it and all of that. So it's a headache for the broadcaster. What is happening is that with DTT happening, all broadcasters, the headache of managing the transmission side of their business is taken away from them.
Yeah.
So they can focus, as Cecil said, on content and branding, which will be the game changer.
A number of arrests have been made over the past few days in connection with a recruitment scam involving the Ghana Armed Forces. The news comes as investigations continue into a similar scam in the Ghana Police Service, which has resulted in the interdiction of the service's Director of Human Resource. Public Relations Director of the Ghana Armed Forces, Colonel Agri Kwashi, says investigations are not over yet.
Two different cases. The one case involves 3 people, and then the second one is just one person.
I see. Now, where did their recruitment process take place?
Pardon?
I'm asking of the detail of their recruitment process. Where did it take place? Where did you arrest them?
They were picked at their hideouts, but the second guy was picked within Bema camp. He came to Bema camp and tried to create the impression that he was a military person, and so he makes his victims think that he's too a military person. So he comes to Bema camp to talk to his client, so to speak.
I see. So these suspects mainly operated in Accra?
Definitely. Yeah, all the cases happen in Accra.
What is it that the Ghana Armed Forces is doing to make sure that this situation does not repeat itself like it has done over time?
No, what we are doing is to continue to educate the public, to let them understand that they don't have to deal with anybody, but they should apply when they are qualified. And then when such persons also contact them, they should let us know so that we cause their arrest.
And a 7-member jury of the Wa High Court has found a 43-year-old man guilty of murder. Andrews Bayo Yoni was charged with 1 count of murder and has been sentenced to death by hanging.
According to the prosecution, the accused person saw Jonas Kwame Yelelewi, now deceased, cutting down branches of a mango tree on a disputed land at Dafiema In the heat of exchanging words, a fight ensued between them, and the accused person butchered Jonas Kwame Yelewi to death. The accused person pleaded not guilty to the charge. He claims he acted in self-defense and that it was rather the deceased who first attacked him. But the jury didn't buy his account of events. After just 20 minutes of deliberation, the jury returned with a unanimous verdict of guilty.
And you're watching Joe News Prime live from our studios here in Accra. We're also available across Europe on ABN Sky channel 235. We'll be right back with the business segment. Right, it's time for business. Etanam is here. Hey, welcome.
Thank you, Steve. Steve, how will you feel if you came to work and you are handed a letter telling you that we are done with you?
Who? You mean terminated?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have so many mouths
to over 560 workers have lost their jobs because of so.
Oh.
Sad one there. My name is Eton Amse. Let's do some business. Managers of small-scale businesses met with power producers on Wednesday. The meeting convened by the PURC was to discuss the country's worsening energy crisis. Beatrice Edu has more.
Public Utilities Regulatory Authority, as well as the Volta River Authority, the Electricity Company of Ghana, and GRICO decided to meet the small businesses, small-scale businesses. These are printers, these are people who work in the marketplaces, these are people who have their businesses within the residential areas. And the reason they met these groups of people is because the PURC and the power producers think that they are within the residential areas. And so the current worsening load shedding is seriously affecting them as well. Basically, they did not really talk about anything new. They talked about the challenges that a lot of people like yourself, you know about. They talked about the fact that their Kosombo, the water levels at their Kosombo is not good enough. Again, they talked about the fact that we don't have enough gas and Ghana doesn't have a lot of money to fix the problem immediately. But it is interesting that after outlining these challenges to these businesses, their representatives there, they were not enthused about it. In fact, their main challenge was that we don't have power to work, our businesses are collapsing, and you need to fix the problems, instead of telling us what these problems are. Again, we spoke to the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority's PRO, Nanaya Ajantwa, who thinks that this is a challenge and is a crisis that Ghanaians must accept. To her, she has already accepted it. And the earlier we accepted it, the better it would be for us to deal with this problem. And again, GRIDCO is also thinking that one of the reasons we are having this challenge is because Ghanaians have failed to conserve energy. In GRIDCO's perspective, authorities there think that Ghanaians must learn to conserve energy so that immediately we'll deal with the problem whilst the country waits for the power budgets as well as other challenges that are affecting the energy sector to be fixed.
Beatrice Edu there. On a rather sad note, a total of about 560 employees have lost their jobs this week as a result of the current power crisis. That's according to the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, ICU. Among these numbers are 240 workers of Coca-Cola who were laid off on Tuesday. Deputy General Secretary of the ICU, Solomon Kote, is warning that there will be more layoffs if the energy crisis persists.
It's quite a disturbing situation that employers are having a lot of difficulty, and the consequences that we are suffering now is these layoffs that are coming left, right, center.
Estimatedly, how many jobs is the ICU expecting will be lost?
Well, in our numbers as a national union, we'll be talking about 560 now.
These jobs been lost already, or they are yet to?
No, this including that of Coca-Cola, this is the one that we are concluding now.
I see. Are you expecting any more to come?
Yeah, the signals are there. So we are only hoping that the situation improves. But if it continues the way it is, obviously we have to expect more.
All right. Now, how's the ICU assisting such workers to cope?
It is not a healthy situation for us as an institution, and then to the working masses as well, because we all know that to lose one's job is it's a very difficult situation to go through. And the condition that have set us in terms of Ghana cedi, parity to the foreign currency is affecting most employers who actually do import of most of their raw materials.
To some other stories, Cabinet has approved the consumer protection policy to address issues of consumer rights and safety. According to a consultant to the Trade and Industry Ministry, Irene Abochi-Nyahe, the policy would see to the establishment of an authority where the public can lodge complaints.
It's a consumer protection policy which has been approved by Cabinet. The policy looks at the physical safety of goods and distribution. We have the promotion and protection of consumers' economic interests through fair trade practices, quality standards and safety. We have consumer redress and representation, because it is not enough having all the laws, but there will not be very significant or effective redress mechanisms. So there's a major thematic area that, so a committee has been established at the ministry to work seriously on the consumer protection law.
Let's do more stories. And the Transport Ministry is set to implement the Advanced Shipment Information System ASHI next month. The move disregards the announcement of the Trade Ministry last week that the program had been indefinitely suspended. Transport Minister Jifo Atifo, however, tells Joy Business her outfit is unaware of such communication.
According to them, their members were not well informed about the implementation. So after a lengthy discussion, we all agreed that, okay, we should postpone it for 1 month, and for which we issued a press release to start the implementation on the 2nd of April, within which we expect them to be able to disseminate information to their members. That's where we are.
The Trade Ministry came out that the ASHI has been indefinitely suspended, so it cancels out the April 2.
I'm not aware.
Well,
ASHI?
Yes.
No, it's under Ministry of Transport.
Interesting. Meanwhile, President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, George Ofori, is angry about the latest development on ASHI and warns that it will not allow the system to work if government goes ahead to implement the process on 2nd April.
We have actually given respect to Ghanaians and the president. That is why when the president came out with that directive, we have to call off our strike action, because if you are looking for something and that something is given out, what was the need for you to embark on that strike action again? So we did that with the respect that we have for the presidency, the respect that we have for Ghanaians. That is why we had to call off our strike action. But if the ministry decides to insist, my sister, take it from us, then the Joint Consultative Forum should start lacing their boot for it.
That's how we wrap up with business. My name is Etonamse George Ado Jr. standing by with sports
this evening. And the chairman of the Ghana Hockey Federation, Richmond Apokavi, has expressed his dismay at the performance of the national female hockey team at the International Hockey Federation World League Round 2, which is currently ongoing in New Delhi, India. The team has been at the receiving end of some huge losses, including a 13-0 reverse to host India in a situation the chairman finds disappointing. He spoke to Joy Sports.
Well, let me put it this way. When they were leaving, we knew it was going to be a very difficult tournament, because it's a very big tournament and the teams are ranked higher than us. We knew it would be difficult, but all the same, we thought our expectation was that they would do better than they are doing now. Right now, we are here in Ghana, so we wait for the team to arrive to get a technical report and see what went wrong and whether we couldn't have done better than we are doing today. And the truth of the matter is that we as an association, we think that we should have done better than we are doing now. We haven't finished the competition yet, so it's when they finish the competition that we'll be sure of. Definitely now where it is, they will not qualify for the next round, that's definite. It means that they will stay well at this level. But whether it will affect us any further, we'll know that only when they return after the tournament.
Bad news coming in. They lost the second game by 4 goals to 0, so it's a bad run of form actually there for the female hockey team. Now, let's do some athletics now. A chairman of the Ghana Athletics Association, Professor Francis Dodo, has expressed serious misgivings at the way sports is funded in the country. This was after the federation failed to raise the needed funds for the African Youth Championship slated for Addis Ababa. The chairman, who also doubles as the president of the Ghana Olympic Committee, is pessimistic of Ghanaian sporting future and prospects.
Well, we don't have funding, so we couldn't, to get money to take a team of 15 or so athletes all the way to Addis Ababa, put them up for, we just don't have the money for it. Our budget hasn't been funded yet, so it's difficult. I mean, we've had 3 years of this non-funding issue, and I think if we really are interested in making sure that we present ourselves properly at the Olympics, it's a cumulative process, you have to expose your athletes to these major competitions so that they get competition hardy, competition ready. But it's all a matter of support, really. Yeah.
Now time to talk about the UEFA Champions League, certainly, and there are 2 games currently underway. They're more like, one-off ties because of the way things are actually going out between the 2 sides. And just having a look at that, Chelsea really need and have a lot of work to do because they are playing up against Paris Saint-Germain right now at the Stamford Bridge. No goal scored yet. And we'll be having a look at the results right now. There's also Bayern Munich up against Shakhtar Donetsk. Why don't we talk about the Chelsea game first of all, right on your screen there. That game is taking place at the Stamford Bridge, as I noted. And there is a controversial decision that has actually come out from the referee. Zlatan Ibrahimovic has been red carded. That means that Paris Saint-Germain are playing a man less against Chelsea. Goalless in the first half. In the other game, Bayern Munich are looking very strong at the Allianz Arena. They lead by 2-0. Very comfortable against Shakhtar Donetsk. The first leg ended goalless in Ukraine. That's about it. We'll find out what happens because 2 teams must definitely qualify to the next stage of the competition. And just wrapping up sports tonight, I'm George Addo Jr. Stephen will join us with some more. You have a good night.
Welcome back, and thanks to George and Etanam for business and sports. The power crisis has taken a serious toll on students at the Presby Boys Senior High School in Accra. Joe News' checks reveal that students are often compelled to remain in their dormitories during prep period as the school struggles to fuel their generators.
Yeah, the government doesn't give any money for this fuel. So it's out of the schools internally generated funds that we use the monies to do all this thing. And it's difficult to generate the fund internally. If no one comes to the compound to do anything, you don't get anything. So the school is unable to cope with the situation so far as money is concerned all the time. 120 Ghana cedis an hour to fuel the plant is very costly. And like I've said, the maximum we can go is 6 hours. But the students also have to learn during the night. And in the morning, early morning, at dawn, we have to also put the plant on for them. So it involves a whole lot of things. And
let's understand the impact this is having on, the fact that you have to take money from your internally generated funds. Government is not giving any specific money for, say, to do this particular thing. How is it? Because some of these money would at other one be used for dining hall and all that, to buy food and all that. How is it affected?
Some of this money is used to renovate bungalows, blocks of classrooms and other things. Then the buying of chalk and other markers and other things, that is where we cushion we used to supplement these things and other areas that need to be looked at quickly.
Now, a few of the students spoke to Joy News.
It's really affecting our studies. Like sometimes we are not even able to go to prep, and it's not every time that the power plant still comes on. It depends on whether the power plant was put on throughout the whole day before we are able to prep in the evening. It's like it's depriving us of learning. We only have time to learn during school hours, and during school hours too, it's not every time. Like we don't learn particular subjects, but the timetable says we should learn this only subject bar. We want to learn other subjects, but we only have to do that during prep, and because of the light, we're not able to do that.
doesn't allow us to learn effectively and prepare for like the next day. Like anytime the power goes off, like we are forced to stay in the house, fool about and other stuff. Now like sometimes they put it on during the day for like the seniors to use it to write their exams and other stuff. They use it to do experiments in the laboratories and those places. So in the evening it has to go off. They need to conserve the power, so we can use it like for different days. So like we use
because they say the petrol, they spend a lot of money buying petrol and stuff. So putting it on the whole day will be a problem. So they put it on in the morning for the fun piece when they were writing work. They are practical and stuff. But in the evening it goes off.
When you are at prep?
Yeah.
And how does this affect you?
You have to use torchlight and lamps, and that sometimes affect the eye. It's get eye problem and stuff.
And some international stories now. 2 lorries and a bus have collided in Tanzania's highland region of Iringa, killing 41 people. The regional commander says the accident happened after a lorry driver swerved to avoid a pothole. He added one of the lorry's containers fell onto the bus that had been heading to Dar es Salaam, crushing many passengers to death. Traffic accidents are common in Tanzania, where the state of the roads and vehicles is often poor. Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan says fighters from insurgent group Boko Haram have traveled to the Middle East for training with Islamic State militants. Jonathan declined to name the countries where the fighters were allegedly trained. He said he has long suspected Boko Haram of having alliances with international extremist groups. And that's how we conclude the bulletin. My name is Stephen N.T. Before we go a look at our top stories again, National Peace Council begins consultations with various interest groups as it seeks to formulate a policy on religious freedom. And the West African Examinations Council is blaming police officers and invigilators for the increasing spate of examination malpractices. And Chief Justice Georgina Wood today led a team of judges to watch a fascinating Joy News documentary, Locked and Forgotten, as she begins work on clearing remand cases. Also, we told you the story of the chairman of the Civic Forum Initiative, who is tasking civil society organizations and the media to thoroughly scrutinize the operations of the Electoral Commission to ensure it delivers on its mandate. My name is Stephen N.T. and that's how we conclude the Joy News Prime, and thanks for your time. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a great evening.
This is Joy News Prime.